So I have a pretty wild story that might make you think twice about your next door neighbors. It's a piece that focuses on fentanyl mills that are operating out of apartments in New York City. Now that's pretty nuts, because imagine living next door to somebody and they're actually processing fentanyl, cocaine, heroin in the next door apartment. Or in some instances, they were even doing it in the next room. There was a bust that happened where not only was fentanyl being processed in the apartment, but there was actually a baby sleeping in the next room. It's not like these guys were blasting music and, having a party. They were trying to be super low profile. My understanding, speaking to authorities, is that the reason these things take place in the apartments is because the dealers and the people who deal with the fentanyl like operating in plain sight, and they like being in places where they will not draw suspicion. So you've got a bunch of crazy characters coming in and out of an apartment building. Well, nobody really takes notice. But as they reveal to me, there are certain telltale signs that fentanyl is being processed. One is, let's say you see all the windows blacked out with black garbage bags. That's a bad sign, because these guys don't want anybody looking in and seeing what's going on. If you hear like a rat-a-tat-tat that sounds like a jackhammer going off, that's probably a pill-making machine. Again, not a good thing to have right next door to you. And if you happen to stroll inside, you'll walk into the living room, you'll see Mr. Big hanging out in there, maybe watching a monitor, seeing what's going on in the place or outside. Or he might be using the PlayStation. A lot of these fentanyl dens will have PlayStations there so people have something to do when they're off shift. And then in the next room, there'll be a glass table where guys are sitting in there chopping up the fentanyl, mixing it with cocaine and heroin, pressing pills, using Metro cards to move the fentanyl around. And the other weird thing is, when the packages of fentanyl come in, obviously they've been smuggled into the United States from some far-flung place like China. And they sometimes will cover the packages in grease to make them harder to detect. Then they break open the packages, grease all over the floor. They're not exactly sanitary places, even though they're producing things that users of the drugs will put up their nose, into their bloodstream, and hopefully they'll think twice when they realize exactly how the drugs are being processed and what's going on.